This is going to be good. Hey, it's JC1424 once again with another album review. Today we're going to be throwing it back to 2006 with an album that I hold to me very dearly, and that is Breaking Benjamin's album, Phobia. The reason why I'm reviewing an album from 12 years ago is because the same band is going to be releasing a new one at the beginning of April. Now, we're going to be using this video to compare those two albums, as well as acknowledge the fact how much I actually love this album. There are a lot of songs that I've always had stuck in my head, ones that are lyrically thought-provoking, and, well, they really capture great emotions. I suppose we can start this off by talking about the intro, which is not going to play a part in the final score, neither will the outro, just because they don't play that big a part in the album. Now, if they did, if they were very, very important parts of the album, say they made it that much better, or they somehow made it that much worse, if we had bad intros and outros, I could dock it a point or maybe add one more on. But instead, we can just talk about what it's trying to depict and how it sets the mood for the entire album, what the album is about as a whole. And the title of this album is Phobia, like I said. That's because Benjamin Burnley, the lead singer of Breaking Benjamin, has a fear of flying. He doesn't like being on airplanes, he doesn't like taking off, which is something that a lot of people might have heard of before. Some people that are maybe subscribed to my channel and watch my content might have this phobia of their own. But in the background, you can hear one of the staff members at the airport on the intercom saying that the flights are about to be taking off and they're about to be boarding them, and etc. And it builds up for the airplane taking off, and once the airplane takes off, that's what kick off the album. We get into the second track, which is the famous Diary of Jane, the most famous track that Breaking Benjamin has ever released, and one that a lot of people subscribed to my channel would know, because it was basically the theme song of NASCAR 07. It is the reason why people that have NASCAR 07 say it has the greatest soundtrack of all time, just because of that one song. I mean, NASCAR Thunder 2004 has got so many better songs, but whatever. That's not the point of this video whatsoever. Diary of Jane is a song about, I suppose, Benjamin Burnley, or maybe just a character he's writing about, not knowing what love is anymore, trying to find out whether he needs to do more in the relationship or he's not doing enough because he just doesn't know things. So I feel like he goes looking through the diary of this partner of his, or this one he's struggling in a relationship with, which I suppose is named Jane because it's the Diary of Jane. And the thing about diaries is that they contain secrets and things that you don't know that they see in yourself. And though he's breaking the trust of Jane, I suppose, he goes in there and sees how she's misconstruing things that he's doing and how she doesn't see things the same way that he is whenever he offers them to her. And we can understand that in relationships. At the same time, is it for the better that he goes to her diary and breaks her privacy just so that he can find out what he's doing wrong? And if he can save the relationship, and at the same time he's trying to find out if it's even worth it, because like I said, he doesn't know what love is anymore and he can't figure out whether it's worth it. Whether you're slipping NASCAR 07 into a console or just putting this actual album into a CD player, that opening guitar riff on the Diary of Jane is so iconic and nostalgic for just about anybody. At the same time, the guitar work in this song is something that is just really enjoyable to listen to whenever you're not paying attention to the vocals and what is being sung in the song. If you just kind of take the time to ignore that, even instrumentally, it's very satisfying because there's a lot of emotion and the melody that comes in the chorus.
Something's getting in the way. Something's just about to break. I will try to find my place in the diary of Jane. So tell me how it should be.
Track 3 is a song that I know is one of many people's favorites, and that is Breath. This is a song about discovering in a relationship that the one that you're in love with is actually pretending to be someone else because they're trying to be someone else for you because they don't know whether you like who they actually are. And then you hear Breaking Benjamin in the lyrical content explaining that he doesn't know whether or not he loves them more or less at this point in the relationship because he's just confused and he doesn't even know who they really are anymore. So it's giving him anxiety and there's a lot of emotion behind it. So this song is one that really excites me. One thing that you might notice while listening throughout this album, rather than just this song in particular, is that there are many occurrences where there are interludes that are very well timed and chosen perfectly for the moment to lead into that final chorus. The guitar work in this song brings out the vocals more, but not in a way that it's lowering the volume in the guitar riffs and such like that. As a matter of fact, it's more like the guitar work has a melody that mixes in with those vocals and helps establish what the overall emotion for the song is. fourth track on this album is You. Now, whenever I say you, I don't mean you, I mean you. Like that's the actual name of the song. I don't know what this is, but this is a song about begging an ex to move on from a relationship that was obviously just not turning out very well. And obviously, whenever a relationship is started, it's just like the greatest freaking thing ever, and they love each other so much. And I suppose this other person is thinking about that and feeling sorry for what the relationship has become, that they're trying to help them through the pain that they've caused each other. At the same time, the other person that's, singing the song is telling them that they should move on from the relationship, they should let go and deal with the pain that the relationship has become on their own. Just let their aftermath be dealt with by themselves. I love the sincere and uplifting chorus. It really establishes the overall purpose the song has. And then you get to the outro, which is basically trudging along, like, dragging your feet in disappointment that the relationship had to come to an end. It just didn't go very well. But at the same time, we had the choruses before that explained why it had to happen. Now, this reminds me of a song by my favorite band, Rise Against, that came out in the same year on an album, The Sufferer and The Witness, and that was Roadside. So, I mean, if you take a listen to that song, it's kind of about the same thing. It has that same emotion behind it, though those two songs, they are so very different musically and maybe even lyrically, because Roadside is kind of analogy-based. But this is a song, and I feel like a few other songs in the first half of this album, where you have to listen to that high guitar part to know how valuable it is to the song, because it's really establishing the melody that the song has, and without it, I feel like it would just not nearly be as good. I didn't realize the true meaning of this next song until I had to listen to it from a critical perspective to make this video, but track 5 is Evil Angel, and in the song lyrically he sings about having imaginary friends and I suppose artificial saviors to help him through his problems by making him feel better temporarily, but in all reality he's basically personifying medication and attempting to use that to make himself feel emotionally better, but he's at the same time acknowledging the fact that it's only helping him out physically, and he's talking about how it's kind of like an evil angel. It's like a bittersweet kind of thing. Now, there was like one mention in the previous song, track 4, You, of getting high and trying to use that to help him through the end of his relationship, but this song kind of extends that point and goes in depth with it. I love how the drums kick off this song, and the guitar work is very memorable as well. Whenever you get to the chorus, like I said, the thing with the high-pitched guitars, they play a big part in the songs in the first half of the album, because there'll be a verse, a line in the verse of the chorus, and after that there's like this wave. It goes up and back down the scale again, which is very melodic, and it really plays alongside the backing vocals where you'll just say, oh. But yeah, I mean, altogether the chorus is very beautiful. It's one of my favorite ones on this entire album. Then you have another interlude that's thrown in there very well, like I said, with many songs in this album. It might be brief, but for what it is, it's very great. We get a little more lyrical personification with this next song until the end, track 6. It's basically an internal conflict for Benjamin Burnley, singing about how he believes in himself and then how he doubts himself, and he's kind of having those two argue with each other, his doubts and his beliefs. Now, it might not be the most lyrically complex song on the album. If anything, it's like the least one, but at the same time, they're still decent, and if it does disappoint you, you can't be disappointed in the musical performance. It does suit the filler position on the album well. Track 7, Dance with the Devil, is basically the halfway point in this album. Jane comes back into the picture. She was the one that we kind of started this album off with, and they're kind of giving the relationship another shot, and they're starting it off by having a little dance. And he's not saying that Jane is the devil so much as he's saying that he loves her so much and she loves him so much, and they're trying to start this relationship, but they both feel that the devil is the relationship passing between them. It's a beautifully sung masterpiece, especially the chorus with the professional lyrical content, which adds a lot of creativity. And then there's the guitar riff, which is kind of a waltz. And it has this aggressive edge to it, obviously, because it's a hard-rocking track, just like, many other songs that Breaking Benjamin will write. And for the record, the song's in 3/4 time, so it's something that you can really dance to like a waltz. Then you've got this piano at the end, which is basically the silver lining, because it completes the dark side and the mixture of the happiness that they're starting to feel again.
Say goodbye as we dance with the devil tonight. Don't you dare look at him in the eye as we dance with the devil tonight.
In 1997, Breaking Benjamin was first starting to come around and play live shows, and one of the songs that they were most famous for with their audience was Top of the World. Roughly 9 years later, they transformed that into something that could be mastered and put onto a studio album. This one right here, track 8, Topless. Musically, instrumentally, it doesn't change that much in comparison to the original demo that they had put together, but the lyrical content is what really changes here. Now, the lyrical purpose, not so much. It's still a very naughty, hate sex kind of song. But with the previous song that it's continuing from, I guess you can consider it a love-hate sex song, because in the previous song he's talking about how they're dancing with each other with this past relationship that didn't end very well. This song does not hold back anything lyrically, and for that reason, let me get the CD. You got a parental advisory sticker. I feel like this was the song that certified that it would get that sticker. But I am very grateful that this song is on this album, because they really did a lot of work to improve on what it originally was. I love the breakdown that this song has. It's just freaking badass. It's my favorite moment on the entire album, and I'm pretty sure a few big Breaking Benjamin fans could agree with that. Listening to this album, the breakdown that this song has is such an important part of the album. It's one that you would never forget. Here we are as track 9, and this is one of the few songs at the end of the album that is very lyrically complex. At the same time, I'm not comfortable with how it starts off instrumentally, but anyhow, once it does get going, I do really love this song because it's a soft rock song and it has its slow pace, and then it's got this very satisfyingly and refreshing guitar solo. It adds no distortion to it. It's just calm, chilling, something that I can relax to. And the purpose of the song is to tell Jane at this point in the story, it kind of makes sense, in a petty way and maybe sarcastic, but also respectable, that she's too good for him.
The beauty queen has lost her crown again. So here we are, fighting and trying to hide the scars.
Track 10, Unknown Soldier, is one of many songs by Breaking Benjamin, a lot like the ones that they write today, to use phrases rather than actual sentence structure to write the lyrical content. The difficult part about that is you have to have an exotic word selection to pull that off. So if you think about a song like Angels Fall and then just read the lyrics rather than actually listening to the song, it's asinine. But with this song, we do have some words that are rather unfamiliar. They aren't too regular in the dictionary, and it does provide a emotional description of what the song is about. Now, that's not too easy to figure out, obviously, because like it says in the title, Unknown Soldier, it's about being in the military and just fighting for the end of deployment and to get back home. So I'm not going to say that this song is mediocre in any way, for filler that is, just because its instrumental contribution really does surpass what is needed to be a filler track. With just 2 songs left on the album, Had Enough is track 11, and I must say that the lyrics are spot on here. It's the best effort that you get across the entire album specifically, and the instrumentation is not something that it has to be dependent on because the lyrics are so good. Well, I'm not saying that the instrumental presentation is weak or anything, it's just there to make sure that the song is a song and it's really good. I like how the intro melody is used to build the guitar riff with this song. That's something that you might recognize if you think about it. But what's so great about this song is that it hits it spot on whenever he's singing about trying to deal with this person who's not thankful for anything that they have, not respecting him for what they've given to him, and just being greedy and always wanting more. I think this is something that we can all relate to because maybe we ourselves are like that sometimes and we don't know it, or we know someone like that. I think I do. Song kind of reminds me of my little brother. At this point in the video, we're just going to be talking about You Fight Me, which is track 12, and the outro, which is track 13. Both of them at the same time, because I don't feel like a need to separate them. One's the last song and one is the ending portion of the album. This is my least favorite song on the album just because it gets off to a disappointing start for me. It has a low bass guitar riff that is combined with piano, and I'm just not comfortable with that personally. I mean, that's just something that it's kind of subjective. It's just me. But once we get to the lyrical content, I like how they're reiterating the points, all the chapters that this album has told in its story, and its main meaning is to accept the fact that there are always going to be fights in relationships. There's no actual happily ever after. It's just accepting the fact that there are going to be arguments here and there, and that the relationship is not always going to be the greatest thing ever. Now, like I said, once it gets in motion, I just accept it as it is, and I do genuinely like the song, and they're all keepers on this album. The only ones that I don't keep are the intro and the outro, because then they just want to make me listen to the album, because then it goes random onto whatever other song on my phone whenever I'm driving in a car or something. But the outro kind of is the landing of the airplane and getting back to the airport, and you can hear the staff member on the intercom talking about how they got more planes leaving, and then they got more people leaving the plane telling him not to forget anything and stuff like that. And this album as a whole kind of is an airport or an airplane flying experience, because airplane flying is a transportation that is used to get to many places across the world, and I feel like he went to this place, met Jane, and dealt with all this bullcrap, then left her, and all these things that happen during a relationship, and there are many reasons, such as being a soldier, to use airplane as transportation. So this does really hit a serious point by talking about a fear of flying getting in the way of all the things that you already have to deal with in life.
This is how it's going to end. This is how it's going to end.
I want to thank everybody so much who took the time to watch and listen to me review one of my favorite albums of all time, which is Phobia by Breaking Benjamin from 2006. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is a throwback to my favorite album by them, obviously, because they have a new album out on the way towards the beginning of April. My voice just cracked. That is so embarrassing. But anyways, I did another throwback in the previous view, which was Polyester Zeal by Red Sun Rising, because they have a new album out on the way at the very end of March. And this video was also made to compare those two albums, my favorite Breaking Benjamin album and the debut Red Sun Rising album. If you remember, the score from the Red Sun Rising review was a 94%. My final score for this album is just 1% higher, and that is a 95%. Now, I want you to take in mind that they don't have any color relation to each other. It's just scoring based on how much I love each individual track, and then I give it a final average based on, like, say, every track has 10 points for how much I like it, and if it's like maybe 9 out of 10 or something, it all adds up, and there's 11 songs in this album total, so 110 is like the total, and then in the end, it's only like taking off a few points for like the songs that I don't like nearly as much as others. I love this album, and no, NASCAR 07 soundtrack is not the best soundtrack ever made. Whatever. See you next time. That's that, and album review over.